I think he's not on the call again, right? Is it? No, yeah, I think. Okay, there, okay. So, Prof. Sam, we're expecting some essay and articles that have been submitted by our respected Allahu Akbar. So I can confirm that our sister has shared that essay. Brothers, please now, don't do this to me. Our sister has sent that essay, which will be reviewed by our respected professor. So, brothers, please send in your own essay, please. Professor.
No, assalamu alaikum. Yes, I'm listening.
So, as part of the session, we are hoping that you will be able to review a few articles and provide feedback on what is good and areas for improvement, just for the benefit of everyone.
Yes. We're going to have some practical drills also.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Over to you, sir.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم وعلى عبد المسيح الموعود السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We give thanks to Allah the Almighty who has given us another opportunity of coming together. I think last year, the Write With Me episode which we had was on AMSA platform. That was the AMSA Writing Cafeteria. This year, we shall be having Write With Me Part 2, which basically also focuses on the techniques of writing. I've also seen that our father, Uncle T. Oshoboede, has actually discussed the fundamentals of writing, and Dr. Bashir Badrusab has also gone into aspects of research writing. Today, we shall be going into writing as a practical enterprise. But I want us to quickly recap what we did last year. Last year, we agreed that everybody can write. So those who were not with us last year may just note what I'm saying. We had some basic agreements. Writing can be a gift, but even if it is a gift, it has to be sharpened, it has to be guided. But it is an enterprise that can be learned, so everybody can write. We also agreed that when you write, you are writing reading. You are not writing. In other words, it means you are writing something to be read. You are not just writing for writing's sake. You are writing with that frame of mind that some people are going to read what I'm writing. So when you write, you should write with the mentality of a reader. I mean, if I were to read what I am writing, would I enjoy it? So when you write, you are writing reading, not writing. So we also agreed that we should write with the intention of getting people to read what we are writing. And if what you write does not excite you, if it does not interest you, don't expect other people to be interested in it. We also agreed that a good writer reads. A writer is a writer because he has information to pass. And there can't be any information unless you read enough. And this reading is not, I have read last year or I've read last month. The reading of a writer should be a daily exercise. You read on a daily basis if you want to be a good writer. And we also agreed that if you can speak, then you can write. It is sheer laziness when you say, okay, I can only speak, I cannot write. If you can speak, then you can write. You only need to make a mental note of those things you're going to say and transfer them into a piece of paper or into a book. So we also agreed last year that naturally people hardly write out of their own volition. Most people are forced to write. Very few people decide, okay, I want to write. And there are so many diverse, there are diverse motivations for writing. There are times you have to write because it is a school assignment. If you have a choice, you probably wouldn't want to write any assignment in school. So you are forced to write. It could also be a vocational requirement. The job you do, the work you do, the job, your vocation demands that you write. Your day-to-day experience, the circumstances of your life may may also force you to make requests in written form. Therefore, you are also forced to write. And there are times you have to complain or protest against a particular thing, an act of injustice, and anything. It's a complaint, it's an observation, it's a protest, you still have to write. In business communication, you cannot rely on speech alone, so you have to write. And there are times you have to express your feelings. These are motivations for writing. So basically, we are in this world, we have found ourselves in a world whereby writing is indispensable. So the circumstances of our lives impose writing upon us. So you should be ready to write. But because one thing is to write, another thing is to be a good writer. So what makes you a good writer, or what makes a writing good writing? One, it takes having something to say. You have an idea you want to pass across. You have a need, a desire you want to express. You have a feeling you want to express. You have a request you want to make. So it takes having something to say. You don't just open your mouth or you just pick a pen and write rubbish. If you write anything and it cannot be, even if it is grammatically correct, it has to be semantically correct. It has to make sense to anybody reading it. If it doesn't make sense, it is not writing. You have only scribbled something down. You have not written. When you write, the Arabs will say, إِذَا لَمْ تَكْتُبِ الْيَدْ فَهِيَ رِجْلٌ. When a hand does not write, it becomes a leg. Because apart from eating, the most important function of the hand is to write. Allama bil qalam. Allah taught by the pen. Because that is one of the functions, in fact, one of the most fundamental functions of the human hand. So when you have something to say, you have an idea to pass, you have a request to make, you write. But that is not the only thing that makes good writing. You also should have clear and logical thinking. Clear and logical thinking. You should be able to arrange your thoughts in a logical manner so that anybody reading will understand that, okay, the mental function of the person or of the source of this communication is normal. Apart from that, there should be clarity of expression. If the expression is not clear, if you write and there is the possibility of understanding something else from what you have written, other than what you intended, that is not a good piece of writing. And above all, you should understand that writing is a craft. It is something that you can learn. Nobody was born with it. It is possible to learn it. The great American writer called Cunningham was a professor of mass communication. He went into the American Writers Guild and saw people drinking, whining and dining. I said, who the hell are you guys? He himself was drunk. Who the hell are you? They told him, we are writers. He said, if you are writers, what the hell are you doing here? You should be writing. Because a writer writes. And that is, a writer does not write once in a week. He writes every day. And that's why you have to keep a diary. You keep notes of things that happen around you. Even if there are, if at the end of the day you discover that there is nothing worthy of attention, pick your pen and write what you have done during that day. Even if you slept, say I slept. Even if something disturbed you, even if for only 1 or 2 seconds during the day you felt cold, right? I felt cold at a point in time during the day, because it is a craft, and it is a craft that grows with practice. It is a craft that grows with practice. So we agreed upon all this. We also agreed, and we actually mentioned some tips. I'm going to remind us of those tips, and then we're going to have a short assignment. We discussed the steps to good writing. There are so many steps, but the one I have used over the years, the one I have found easier to teach, and which has actually assisted me a lot, is the 4-step TAWR. Think, arrange, write, rewrite, or revise, or review. Think. The first step in writing a good piece is think, because you want to pass on ideas. So you have to be clear about what you want to write. Think about it. Think out the things you want to say, the ideas you want to put across. Put your thoughts on paper. Think. That's the first step. So before you start writing, you should be able to ask yourself, what am I trying to say? And when you finish, you should be able to ask yourself, have I said it? So the first step is to think. Think. That's your first step. And we also we agreed that one very easy way of bringing out your thoughts, because many a time we are asked to write and you say, I don't know what to write. Just like when you are asked to make a speech and you say, I don't know what to say. It is not that you don't know what to say. It is that you don't know how to bring out those things that are latent within you, those things you want to say. I mean, you have information within you have acquired over the years from the books you have read, from the information you have heard, from lectures you have listened to, from movies you have watched. So many things. You have been able to gather a lot of things, and these things are in your subconscious mind, and you need a tool or a kind of hook to fish those things out. And I suggested that beyond journalistic writings, we can also make a very good use of 5 W's and H. And we said the 5 W's are the interrogative pronouns: who, what, when, where, and how. Who, what, when, why, and how. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Those are the 5 W's and H. If you think of any topic, just any topic, and you decide to exhaust all the who's, who are we talking about? Even if you are writing about a scientific thing, who and who are involved in the invention of these things, or in the situation, whether it is scientific, whether it is a social science issue, whether it's is in the humanities, it's still the same thing. There should be personalities involved. If you are not sure that a personality is involved, you explore what. What is the meaning of these things? What are we actually talking about? When you exhaust all the what issues, all the what questions, you can go to when, you can go to where, you can go to why, and you can go to how. So at the end of the day, by the time you answer all the who's, all the what's, all the when, all the why's, all the where's, you will discover that you have more than enough things to say. That is the first step. You think out, put all of these things down, regardless of how important you think some of them are or not. Just put them down. After putting them down, the next step, that is step 2, you arrange. The next step is to arrange. And what do you mean? Now you now prioritize them. Look at those things you have thought out. What do you consider to be strong? What do you consider to be weak and frail? So you arrange them. You can edge out those ones that are weak, those ones that are superficial. Then you can now decide which one you want to begin with. Do you want to approach the topic from the who angle? Or you want to approach it from the where, from the what, from the how angle? There are so many ways of approaching it. So you arrange it along that line. You want to talk about the life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you can just begin. Who are you talking about? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born, blah, 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 blah. You are beginning. That's from the who. He was born from the Banu Hashim clan. He was a member of the Quraysh, blah, blah. That is who. You can also say in the 7th century, you are talking about when. In the 7th century Arabia, at the time when people, in year 570 AD, which was also called the year of the elephant, when Abraha, the king of Yemen, invaded Mecca, you can do that. You are approaching from the viewpoint of when. And you can just go straight in the Arabian Peninsula that had been occupied by the Arab al-Ariba and the Musariba. You have the Arabized Arabs, you have the native Arabs. Blah, blah. You can just, and a lone voice came out calling to the worship of one God and what have you. You are starting from where? And so you have more than enough opportunities to approach it. It depends on the strength of your own understanding, the depth of your understanding of the subject. That determines and that assists you in knowing where you want to start from. So when you have thought out the thing using the 5 W's and H, you arrange them. And after finishing the arrangement, you write. The 3rd step is to write. Write in the order you have preferred to write. You have preferred. Write. After writing, the 3rd one, which is R, is you can call it to rewrite, you can call it to revise, you can call it to review. That is when you take a second look at what you have written. Is this what I have actually set out to do? Have I passed the information I initially planned to pass? That is Those were the things we discussed during the AMSA writing cafeteria last year when we first talked about, talked about the Write With Me. So I call this Write With Me Part 2. And if you did not join us last year, you should have had a fair idea of what we did. Today we're going to discuss, we're going to focus on practical drills. Though writing workshops are best conducted physically, but we can make do with what we have because of the situation. So we're going to pause now for the next 20 minutes. This is the season of Maulid Nabi. If you are online with me, pick one aspect of the Prophet's illustrious life. Using the think, arrange, write and rewrite, or review format, develop an essay. Develop an essay plan. Not really writing an essay. You may not be able to write an essay in 20 minutes. Develop an essay plan. We shall also listen to a maximum of 10 results randomly picked. So when you have you have maximum of 20 minutes to do that. Maximum of 20 minutes to do that. While I don't know whether the organizers still have the slides of the last year. If you still have it, then I think it's better we just share it so that those who were not a part of it last year will have access to it. If you don't have it, I can send it while while the participants are putting together their thoughts. So what I'm expecting is a kind of essay plan, a kind of outline of how you will approach it. So somebody is asking whether you can have topics. I'm not choosing a topic for you. The Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu this is where we are still celebrating Siratul Nabi, celebrating Maulid Nabi. What I'm saying is select any aspect of the Prophet's life, the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu as a moral teacher, as a head of state, the Prophet as a parent, the Prophet as a family man, the Prophet as a husband, Muhammad Rasulullah fi baytihi, Muhammad in his home, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a reformer, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a social crusader, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a teacher, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as all aspects, as a trader, as all aspects of its life. You can select Muhammad as a politician, anyone, just select all of these and write. Select all of these and prepare an outline, an essay plan. And in the next 20 minutes, those who have finished it will read it. We are taking just maximum of 10. The first 10 that indicates that they are ready, we will listen to what they have written and we will review it together. Meanwhile, I will be looking at the essays that will be sent, inshallah. I'll be hoping to receive those ones. And so we're starting, this is 3:05. So inshallah by 3:25, we should be ready to pick all those things. By 3:25, let us start responding. I'm still going to be online. I'm not, so I will go through the messages you send us. There are 3 chats here. Okay, what's the topic? It has been answered right with me. So if there are any other issues, we will discuss them. But now, let's start immediately. Look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ. Use the think, arrange, write, and rewrite format to develop an essay plan. Collectively, we'll listen to the plan you have decided, and people will suggest. We will all review these things together before going on. You know, there are so many forms, so many types of writing, and because this is writing for special purposes, we are writing not just or not for academic purpose. We want to write, in fact, basically we will deal with two types of writing. Possibly in subsequent one, we will need to talk about persuasive writing. It has its own unique approach. It has its own unique vocabularies than expository, because our works, our work as du'at, as da'iyah, our works as scholars or preachers, as muballighun, will actually focus on these two types of writing. You write to persuade people to sign the bay'ah. You write to teach, you write expository writing to explain the teachings of Islam and the position of the Jamaat, of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat concerning all this. So we are concerned primarily not with creative writing, though creative writing itself can be used for tabligh, not with narrative writing, but we are primarily focusing on persuasive and expository writings. So let's start. We've taken 3 minutes out of your 20 minutes already. So I assume all those who are interested in responding, all the participants will be putting down something now. In the meantime, while this is on, we can, I don't know whether they can share the first one with us, and if it is not available, maybe it will be necessary for me to send it across so that those who were not with us last year will be able to take it home, and those who were with us who no longer have it will be able to benefit therefrom. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. So in the next 20 minutes, I hope to read what, I hope to listen to what you have put together. Mm. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam.
There are some questions in the box message, in the chat box, please.
All right, well, we'll check and respond shortly. Jazakallah.
Barakallahu feek.
So I think the modality is that Professor Tmain Saab will randomly pick participants to read out their, writings. We all drop it here. It's going to fill out the chat room, and it may be challenging to read through. But a random pick will be the approach, based on the feedback provided to the people whose writings have been reviewed. Then other people can take cues and make adjustments as relevant to their own context.
So we shall be taking the first 10 persons to indicate that they are finished. So we have just 5 minutes more.
Prof. Sab, just before we resume the session, just to note that we kindly crave your indulgence that we will have a break for Salah by 3:45 p.m.
No problem, no problem.
And then come back by 4:20 p.m.
Inshallah, yeah.
Inshallah. All right, sir.
Okay. Abdulazim Adeleke done. So that's going to be the first person. So I'm giving you an extension of 2 minutes to round off. Abdulazim Adeleke has indicated. Okay, Tayyib Abdulaziz has indicated. Tijani Abdullah has indicated. Ibrahim Amzat has indicated. Abdul Basit has indicated. Nasrullah Bisriyu has indicated. Nasir Khalilur Rahman has indicated. Our Medicals has indicated. Abdul Rahim Sadiq has indicated. Sadiq. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm taking only one. I have 9 already. I have Adeleke Abdulazim, Tayyib Abdulaziz, Tijani, Abdullah, Ibrahim Amza, Nasrullah Bisriyu, Nasir Khalilur Rahman, our Medicals, Abdul Rahim Sadiq. Let me see who Abdul Basit, okay, is there. Okay. No, I have 10. If I add Qamar Abdul Majid, that would be 10. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So let us listen to these 10 gentlemen. I could see the names of some of our sisters on the thing, but it appears the brothers are faster. No woman has indicated interest in, okay. So we have 10. So let me call the names in accordance with the notifications here. The first person is Abdurrahim Sadiq Kainde. Abdurrahim Sadiq Kainde.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Yeah, let's have what you have.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir.
Okay, no thanking, just go straight to the thing.
The topic, the life of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a teacher of morals. Yes, introduction will be on brief overview of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam life. Chapter 1 will be importance of morality in Islam. Thesis statement will be Prophet Muhammad SAW was an exemplary teacher of morals, demonstrating exceptional character and guiding humanity towards righteousness. Why the chapters are as follows: 1. Early life and morals foundations. 1.
Are you writing a book?
No.
And I have to correct an essay, outline of an essay.
Okay.
Not a book.
Okay, sir.
Take it again. Take it again.
The title of the article is "The Life of Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu and the Teachers of Morals." So the introduction will be
okay.
Brief overview of Holy Prophet Muhammad's life. Why the body of the article will be, this statement will be the Holy Prophet was an exemplary teacher of morals, demonstrating exceptional character and guiding humanity towards righteousness. While the body of the thesis will cover early life and morals foundation of Holy Prophet Muhammad, Prophet's morals teaching, which will focus, the key words to focus on is justice and fairness, compassion and mercy, honesty and integrity, respect for human life and dignity, equality and brotherhood. Why it will also cover from citation from these sources, the Holy Quran, the Hadith, and the Mafusot and the Mafusot. Why in the citation or the reference we focus from the Holy Quran, from the Hadith, and from biography of the Holy Prophet, either from Ibn Isham, Life of Muhammad, and from other Islamic scholars. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Yeah, that's a good one. We're going to do everything together. Let's take the next person so that I'm noting down your, okay, that's Sadiq Abdul, that is our medicals. Our medical should be.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. This was the real name.
Waliullah ibn Abbas ibn Auni.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I will be writing on Muhammad as a doctor, inshallah.
Okay, as a medical practitioner.
So under the following outline, okay. The first will be an introduction, then the brief biodata of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
What will your introduction contain?
The introduction.
What will your introduction contain?
The introduction will introduce the personality of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the Prophet of Islam, and also will introduce who is a medical doctor, and then talk about the great physician known as the father of the medicine, Hippocrates. Are you with me, sir?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay, sir. So it will introduce who is a doctor, and as well as after introducing the Holy Prophet Muhammad as the Prophet of Islam, and it will give a brief overview of what the article tried to portray to the society. Then the next will be a brief biodata of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu himself.
Biodata, what do you mean by that? Have you not introduced the Prophet earlier?
Yes, sir. is to introduce. What I mean by brief biodata here is those.
Just go ahead. We're still going to discuss it. Go ahead.
Okay,
biodata
sir.
of the prophet after that.
Okay, then we have Muhammad methods of healing.
Okay.
And then we now talk about the Muhammad as a physician. So,
okay.
And then we talk about Muhammad as a surgeon. So in that aspect of Muhammad as a physician, I will be elaborating from the historical perspective of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, where some the Quranic prescription of some substances, why the Holy Prophet has also prescribed some as just as a physician does. Then why as a surgeon, that will be introducing some of the places where he intervened, such as during the war and some other places where some old method of the surgical aspect was practiced by the Holy Prophet and the result that was achieved. How excellent it was and how useful.
So what's your conclusion?
Then the conclusion, we now we'll talk about the Holy Prophet not being only a physical, a contemporary doctor, but also a moral as well as a spiritual and mental doctor as well.
So you have spiritual medicine. Okay, don't worry. Let's go to the next person. Let's go to the next person.
Okay, so we have references, sir.
Okay. Nasir Khalil Rahman, please.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, the topic is the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu as an exemplary family man. So the introduction would be like, who is the Holy Prophet Sallallahu, just a little bit about his life and the significance of him being a role model. That's the first aspect of the introduction. And the second aspect of the introduction would deal with Islam's perspective on family life, or the importance of family in Islam. Then the body of the article will deal with the examples as the topic was, the examples of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on how he led his life in his family life. So which we are going to have incidents in his life, the Holy Prophet sallam as a loving husband, and then the Holy Prophet sallam as a caring father too. And the second aspect is going to be his teachings, which he imparted upon his followers and his companions on how they are supposed to live their family lives also. So this is going to be the body. And the conclusion is just going to be, so the relevance of these examples on how we can live our own life now, and a general call to emulate these examples. So that is
okay. Jazakumullahu khairan. That's a very good one. Let's have Nasrullah Bisriyu. Nasrullah Bisriyu. Is he there? Nasrullah Bisriyu is not there. Abdul Basit. Abdul Basit. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Who is that? Who is that?
Abdul Basit, sir.
Abdul Basit, okay. Let's have you. I've actually skipped Tijani Abdullah. Okay. Abdul Basit, yeah. So what's your topic?
My topic is Muhammad, an array of epithets.
An array of what?
Epithets.
Okay. I'm listening.
Using the TAWR. The first one, think. I would First thing there is topic understanding. Understanding the topic to explore how the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallam is described by various epithets, names, titles, and the likes. Then main point we cover, still on that thing, introduction to what epithets really is as regards the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallam. Then what are the epithets mentioned in the scriptures and hadiths and the likes, on and on. His personal qualities, universal epithets, then potential sources from the Quranic references, hadiths, and Islamic literatures, and so on. Then going to the second step, which is arrange. I'll be talking of introduction. Then under the introduction, definition of epithets and their significance. Brief introduction about the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallam and his position in Islam. Then the statement, the article statement itself. Under arrange as well, I have the body. I would mention.
What do you mean by article statement?
Sir?
What do you mean by article statement?
Like discussing the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallam epithet, how it reflects his multidimensional role as a spiritual leader, moral guide, and mercy to mankind, and few other things about the Prophet Muhammad sallam.
Okay.
And under the body, Quranic epithets like.
How many introductions do you have?
Sir?
You have mentioned 2 introductions now. So I don't understand. You mentioned an introduction.
I have introduction, the body, and
so
conclusion.
You now listen. Under your thoughts, you have an introduction. Under arrange, you have another introduction. Or what are you saying?
Under think, I don't have any introduction.
But you began with an introduction.
Yes.
Okay, just go ahead. Just tell me everything you want to say. Like, just say everything. So
then conclusion. Then right.
Right. Okay. This okay. Go ahead.
Proceeding with the body, then using scholarly references to back my claims. Then rewrite.
What are those claims? What are those claims?
Under right, sir.
What are the claims? You said to back your claims. Which claims? Are you claiming something new? Are you giving him different epithets?
No, not something new. Like the point, the epithet.
So what are the claims?
Prophet Muhammad sallam, bringing evidences from the
evidence of what? Evidence of what?
I've mentioned about the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallam.
Okay, those are not your claims now.
From
okay.
And this.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Then
so you did. Okay.
I have to review whatever thing I've written, and if it is possible, editing for clarity, and that might not be done by myself, probably someone superior that can edit and review for me. Then polish my conclusion.
Okay.
And these are the things I've come up with.
Okay, thank you. Let's just go to the next person. Tijani Abdullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My outline goes thus, sir. The introduction. Okay. Under the introduction, I have.
What's your topic?
The topic goes thus: the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a righteous. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a righteous husband.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Under the introduction, I have a brief history of the life of the Holy Prophet and the background of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Okay, go ahead.
The next thing is that who is a husband under the introduction. followed by what is righteousness according to the Holy Quran.
Okay. I'm
yes.
listening.
Yes, under the body, I have the Holy Prophet ﷺ as a husband.
Okay.
Examples showed by the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to his companions under the body. And the conclusion goes thus, that God Almighty Allah has created the Holy Prophet ﷺ as an excellent example. We should emulate the life of the Holy Prophet ﷺ in being a righteous husband. That's all, sir.
Okay, Jazakumullah khairan. Well, I think it is 3:46 already. We shall be breaking for Salatul Asr where we reconvene. Inshallah, we will take the other together. Jazakumullah khairan. The adhan is already being called. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khairan, sir. So we'll convene again by 4:20 p.m. Inshallah.
Inshallah, Aziz, yeah.
Inshallah, Azim. Jazakumullah khairan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome us back to our session. Jazakallah khairan for joining very early. So we await, let's leave some few minutes to accommodate our brothers and sisters that will be joining shortly. We can continue the program, inshallah. Welcome back once again. Jazakallah khair. Welcome once again. We just await the arrival of our facilitator, Professor Said Timei. So as soon as he joins, inshallah, we will continue the session. Welcome back once again. And maybe we can just get started with some activities before Professor Timei joins, and he can take over as soon as he joins. Maybe this is a good time for us to have a check of the room. We can provide feedback to us regarding your experience so far with the program. If anyone would be able to share if they have learned anything new today, through this program, or even from yesterday, is there anything new that you've learned or something you think you can immediately use going forward? Jazakumullah khairan. Please indicate by showing your hand, and I can then call you, and you would then be allowed to provide your feedback. Jazakumullah khairan. Do we have any volunteer? Anyone who wants to share with us some of the key lessons they've gleaned from the sessions that have okay, I think Professor Timei just joined now, so we should now continue with the session. Can you make Prof? Can you make him a post so that it can? All right, Prof, sir, over to you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum,
sir. Welcome back, sir.
Okay.
Over to you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we stopped at Tijani, is it? Tijani Abdullah's submission. So I don't know whether Nasir Bisriyu is back. Nasir Bisriyu, are you back? Nasir Bisriyu, are you back? Okay, maybe he's no longer with us. So let's go to Tayyib Abdulaziz. Tayyib Abdulaziz.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
My essay plan revolves around the topic is the Holy Prophet's leadership qualities.
Leadership qualities, okay.
So my essay plan revolves around the WH words and the H word. So
What
the introduction is, I said,
okay.
My essay plan revolves around the WH words.
Okay.
And H, the questions. So the introduction is going to be focused on who is going to answer the question who. So by giving a brief introduction, giving a brief background of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, then introducing the topic. So the body of the essay is going to answer the other questions which is going to focus on where he exhibited these qualities, then when the situations that warrant this.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you well.
Can you hear me now, sir?
Okay, this is better.
Okay, shall I start from the beginning or I can go on?
Start all over.
Okay, so the topic is the Holy Prophet's leadership qualities.
Okay.
So the introduction is going to answer the question who. So by giving a brief background of the Holy Prophet, then the question, then also we talk briefly on the question what, which is going to focus on the exceptional qualities with respect to leadership that the Holy Prophet Muhammad exhibits. So moving on, the body is going to present examples. Likewise, also answering the question where, that is, where those qualities were exhibited, most especially Medina and Makkah. Then the body is going to also answer the question when, how, and why. So on question when, that's going to present the situations when the Holy Prophet Muhammad exhibit those qualities. So on how is going to focus on how the Holy Prophet Muhammad reacted to evils done to him, as well as how he exhibited those qualities. both during battles and off battles. Then the conclusion is going to be focused on his admonitions and advice for the target audience. That's all, sir.
Walaikum salam wa barakatuh. That's Tayyib Abdulaziz. So we'll take Adeleke Abdulazim. Is Abdulazim Adeleke around? Abdulazim Adeleke. Nam Kamaruddin
Very
Abdul
much
Majid.
around, sir.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
Abdulazim.
Okay. Now I'm listening.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
what's the
sir.
topic?
My topic is the Holy Prophet, the importance of sending Darud to the Holy Prophet Sallallahu.
Okay, importance of Darud.
Yeah.
Upon the Prophet Sallallahu.
Upon the Prophet Sallallahu. So
okay.
The introduction first.
Yeah.
That Darud has a profound significance in Islam, and especially concerning the Holy Prophet Sallallahu. The divine command in the Holy Quran, where Allah Subhanahu wa Taala has specifically instructed us that we should read the road upon the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Then the verse also emphasizes the exalted status of the Holy Prophet Sallam and the duties of believers to show respect to him by sending their road to the Holy Prophet Sallam. Then going forward, the road, that the content now of it is a means of expressing love, and gratitude to Allah, and then also to show our love for the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu. Since one cannot claim to love Allah without first of all loving the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So love for the Prophet Sallallahu is a key aspect of Muslim faith, and the Prophet Sallallahu himself has mentioned this. So I will include those sayings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu, particularly where he has referred to it that we are not believer until we love him more than any other persons. Then two, that the root also is a way of Muslims expressing their deep love, respect, and gratitude to the Prophet for his role in guiding them to the truth. So then another thing again is that the root brings spiritual benefits and forgiveness. So that's I will also expatiate upon it from the Holy Quran and then from the sayings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu. Then after that, we also talk on that it elevates the status of the believers. But when you send the root to the Prophet Sallallahu, it also elevates your own status in the presence of Allah the Almighty. And the fifth thing there, I also mentioned that it's also a source of peace and a source of barakah, a source of blessings for anyone who engages in it. So then I also talk on the significance in daily worship. instance of Darud in daily worship. Then conclusion will now be that Darud is a means of building a deeper connection with the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu, and it also embodies the virtues of compassion, humility.
I'm not asking you to give a talk on Darud, though. Just give us your plan. You are giving a lecture already.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. So the conclusion will now be that Darud bring it will give you a kind of connection to the Holy Prophet Sallam, and indeed to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So those are
So the last person, Kamaruddin Abdul Majid.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
Has become part of us.
You're welcome. Okay.
Dear respected, yes, sir. Dear respected facilitator, Professor Oluwatimi Tumayin.
We still have so many
members. My topic is illustrious practicality of the Holy Prophet of Islam as a mirror of emulation on trust. Outlines. 1. Introduction. Brief background of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his noble character, and relate his noble characters to his use on trust. 2.0. Body. 2.1. An overview of the attributes of the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as a mirror of emulation and trust. 2.2. As a trusted staff or worker to Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha prior to prophethood. 2.3.
Please take it again. Please start all from the beginning. Illustrious model, illustrious mirror of. I want to get your topic again, please.
It's already on the chat group. Illustrious quality of the Holy Prophet of Islam as a mirror of emulation on trust.
Okay.
Outlines. 1. Introduction. Brief background of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his noble characters, and then relate his noble character to his use on trust. 2.0. Body. 2.1. An overview of the attributes of the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as a mirror of emulation and trust. 2.2. As a trustee staff or worker to Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha prior to prophethood. 2.3. As a trustee to companions on trust and secrecy during prophethood. 2.4. Practicality and relevance of trust demonstration before the companions. 2.5. Practicality and relevance of trust before non-Muslims and other faiths. 2.6. Practicality and relevance of his trust to modern day times. 2.7. Demonstration and relevance of trust by Ahmadis as sect or as a sect in compliance to the trust. 2.8. Quran and Sunnah references as related to important points. 3.0. Conclusions. Conclude by highlighting key points on practicality of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, its relevance to issues on trust and implication for us as a Muslim. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. Well, thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan. The only person we do not okay. Sorry, Ibrahim Hamza. Who is Ibrahim Hamza, please? If you are still there. Ibrahim Hamza, is he no longer with us? Then there's Nasir Bisri, we couldn't get him, probably has changed his mind. Yeah. Well, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Yeah, please, who is that, please? Is that Ibrahim Hamza? No.
No.
Is that Ibrahim Hamza?
No, it's Ablazim.
Okay, Abdulazim, okay, no problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I know there are sisters on the platform. I don't know why they have chosen not to submit anything. Okay, they have not even come back from prayers. Okay, there is one of them here. Yeah, let's quickly go through the submissions. Let me thank the brothers who have contributed. May Allah continue to strengthen us all, intellectually, morally, and spiritually. Okay, let me say materially also, because some people will be offended. Yeah, the responses we have received so far has demonstrated and have demonstrated that there is a multi-sided dimension to the personality of the Prophet ﷺ. Without actually giving specific topics, people have been able to carve out topics, some very clear, some we may have to ask them to unpack those topics themselves, as some of them are not so clear. But however, the approaches, I assume as I was taking down the jottings, I hope other people were doing the same thing, because I actually want us to review this together and flesh up those things and those topics for those who want to write on them, or those who have chosen this topic. The first one is the life of Muhammad Sallallahu as a teacher of morality. Is a very beautiful topic. The person who chose it intends to give us an overview of the personality of the Prophet Sallallahu. He also hopes to talk about the Prophet as an exemplary teacher of morality. That is the main thesis of that topic. And he hopes to refer to verses of the Quran and some teachings of the Prophet about morality. But in the presentation, in the submission, I didn't hear the person talking about a definition of morality. And in most of the Islamic discourses on morality, I have discovered that it is only in the Jamaat, particularly in the writings of Hazrat Masih Ma'ud and Hazrat Muslim Ma'ud radiyallahu anhu, Hazrat Masih Ma'ud alayhi salam, and Hazrat Muslim Ma'ud radiyallahu anhu, that we see a comprehensive definition of morality. In fact, Hazrat Masih Ma'ud was the first person to clearly tell us the relationship between khalqu, creation, and khuluqu, morality, telling us that khalqu is the one that comes, that is divine. It is the act of the creator. And khuluqu actually is the effort of the individual to abide. So in the effort of the individual to create a new being in himself or herself. So I hope the brother who wishes to write on this may have to consult the philosophy of teaching of Islam and way of the seekers. These two materials will really assist in fleshing up this very beautiful topic. Muhammad Sallallahu as an exemplary teacher of morality. There are aspects the brother mentioned that are vague, which I couldn't really capture. But I think we have a very viable paper here if the brother actually puts his mind into it. The second one, which is a bit complex and well, let me say it was presented in an almost controversial manner. That is from our medical, or is it our medical? That's the Prophet Sallallahu as a medical practitioner. That's a unique one. It's I dare say it is seminal. It's not the common thing. It's like a new thing. Though we know the Prophet has not made contributions to medical practice, but coming from a medical doctor, I assume that we will have a very rich presentation. But he spoke about the Prophet's practice of surgery. I hope the brother will be able to develop this paper and submit it to MASQ for review and possibly for publication, because it claimed that there are references. We know the Prophet ﷺ practiced medicine in accordance with the norms of the time. He said the Prophet actually performed some kind of traditional surgery there. We would like to have instances of that, references for it. Then we should also, there were medical principles suggested by the Prophet ﷺ, like the principles of quarantine when there are, at the time of epidemics or pandemic or what have you. So I hope that will be built into it. Then the impact of the medical practice of the Prophet ﷺ on the practice of medicine globally, I will expect that to be explored also, considering the importance of this topic. We know that the early Muslims, particularly in the medieval period, played a pivotal role in the development of medical practice. We want to see to what extent the prophetic teachings impacted on those early Muslims, like Razis, like Fakhruddin al-Razi, like the Qanun, Ibn Sina, who wrote the Qanun, and what have you, which happens to be one of the oldest materials on medical practice. So I hope it's going to be, and all of those who have read out their outlines, I hope they will eventually develop it and submit it to MASQ so that we can review them together and try to get them published. Now, Nasir Khalilur Rahman has given us a very beautiful outline, simple, direct, clear in its focus. He wants to examine the Prophet ﷺ as an exemplary family man. He hopes to bring present a brief information about the Prophet ﷺ, and the Islamic teachings about family life, examples of the Prophet ﷺ's teachings on family life, the Prophet as the quintessential husband and father, and what have you. And he hopes to conclude by challenging modern Muslims, and particularly members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim communities, as the custodian of the prophetic teachings in the later days, to pattern their lives in accordance with the teachings of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Similarly, we have a topic, Muhammad, an array of epithets. I do not, sincerely, I do not really understand Because if I think what I think I understood from the topic towards the end of the brother's presentation, I got lost again. The Prophet ﷺ, an array of epithets. Maybe we need to change the language or retouch or redirect, I don't know. But that's what he said. The Prophet had an array of epithets. And while trying to unpack that topic, he said several epithets were used for the Prophet ﷺ. Wants to define those epithets, wants to explain the significance. He wants to tell us from the Quran and the Hadith how the Prophet was given those epithets, or let me say nicknames, titles. But he did not tell us, and he did not tell us that he's going to tell us what the Prophet did that made him, and what the Prophet did, or what people saw in him that gave him, that caused the bestowal of those epithets or those alqab on him, on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was given so many titles even before he became a prophet, before he announced his message to the world. So we would like to know why, for example, he was given As-Sadiq Al-Amin. What were the other epithets he was given, and why was he given those epithets? And how did those manifest in his illustrious life? And what is the position of these epithets vis-a-vis the Risala, the prophetic message itself? Then somebody hopes to discuss Muhammad as a righteous husband. He actually he suggests that he will go into a brief background. Virtually everybody intended to give us a background information about the Prophet ﷺ. Then, who is a husband? What is righteousness? This is also a unique approach. The brother here has actually taken the keywords in the topic. He didn't just assume everybody understands. So he goes on to say, okay, Muhammad Sallallahu as a righteous husband. Okay, so now say, who is a husband? What is our traditional understanding of a husband and his functions? Then what is righteousness? Why or how is the Prophet Sallallahu a righteous husband? And now he said he intends to give examples of how the Prophet ﷺ displayed these qualities, how it impacted upon the Prophet ﷺ, and he wishes to call on contemporary Muslim communities to emulate the Prophet ﷺ. Yeah, now Tayyib Abdulaziz, okay, said this. He wants to talk about leadership quality of the Prophet ﷺ. And he went into the 5 W's and H. I'm really very sorry to say, Tayyib, the 5 W's and H are only to assist you in bringing out your ideas. I didn't say you should plan your under how, this is what I want to write, under who. No. Use it to bring out your thoughts. In fact, it is not everybody that will use it. Some people are systematic thinkers because of their orientation, because of their background. Without using 5 W's and H, they can really give us something, give a logical presentation of their thoughts. 5 W's and H have only been suggested for those who often find it very difficult to come out with ideas and say, I don't know what to write, or I don't know what to say. I've only suggested 5 W's and H for those ones. 5 W's and H is actually a tool used by reporters, by journalists when writing news. It is primarily used in news writing, but with the passage of time, we have discovered that it can be adapted into other forms of writing. Hence, I suggested it for bringing out your thoughts. If you don't know what you're going to write, you can, okay, this is the topic, but if you don't know how to approach it, you can start asking yourself those questions. Not that you now structure a whole essay. This is what I want to write. This is what I want to write. But what you have spelled out are very good information about the Prophet ﷺ, except that you did not tell us, you did not define leadership, you did not tell us leadership qualities, leadership theories. There are leadership theories, there are leadership styles. You did not tell us, probably you're going to tell us in which of the, under which of the leadership theories or styles the prophetic style falls. Whether its style is unique in totality or is a combination of some of the theories human authorities have put forward over the years, because leadership theories are ever evolving. Till today, new styles are coming up. So the Prophet ﷺ, if you want to tell us, was a perfect example of a true leader. You may have to tell us what type of leader he was, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You may also have to tell us those verses of the Quran that actually underscore the prophetic leadership, instances from the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I hope you'll be able to put this down, develop the paper and send it to MASQ for review. Inshallah, I'll be a part of the review. Abdulazim Adeleke, as well, he is an Alpha, is a missionary. So he decided to take us on a spiritual journey, importance of the root upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a very beautiful topic. The Azra Khalifat al-Masih al-Khamis Sayyidahullah Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz told us last year that one of the best way to celebrate Sirat al-Nabi or Mawlid al-Nabi is to increase our darud upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Abdulazim Saab has drawn our attention to the significance of darud. He told us it's a divine command, which indeed it is. He told us it's an opportunity, it's a way of expressing our love, our respect, and our submission to the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ. He hopes to go into the Quran to tell us this. And I didn't hear him mentioning that he will go into the hadith to tell us the importance of darud. He only hopes to go into the hadith to tell us that the Prophet those hadiths where the Prophet said we should love him above every other human being. That after the love of Allah is the love of the Prophet. But he didn't tell us that the Prophet, for example, told us that all prayers are veiled until darud is made. He did not tell us that the Prophet specifically recommended that when you want to pray, you say you do tahmid, alhamdulillah, then you do darud before you pray. And that's the reason why we normally recite Surah Al-Fatiha, which is the most perfect of tahmid, and as-salatu ala nabi, which is darud. So I hope Missionary Sab is going to develop this. I hope Missionary Sab is going to develop this and submit to MASQ as usual. In fact, if these 10 brothers develop what they have put together, and all the other brothers we were not able to call, if they put together all these ideas and submit to MASQ, I think in the next few months we will have more than enough materials to publish. Not just Yunus Amatayo, Abbas Agbaje, Taufik, and the rest. We should, I think Dr. Kamardin Abdul Majid has also given us a very beautiful presentation. The Prophet as an illustrious model of trust. Yes, yes, you know, he's a lawyer. I don't, all those Dogon Torenchi in journalistic writing, we write to express, not to impress. Some of these expressions are legal, the practicality of those ones are legal expressions. Simple, he wants to tell us the Prophet ﷺ as an illustrious model of trust. How amana, trust, reflected in the life of the Prophet ﷺ, and he gave us a very beautiful outline. He also examined the background of the Prophet ﷺ and its noble characteristics. He wants to give us an overview of the prophetic attribute, pre-Islamic display of amana and the post-Islamic display of amana. Pre-Islamic display of amana as a trusted staff of Khadija radiallahu anha, then how this reflected in his relationship with the companions even before he became the Prophet ﷺ, like Abu Bakr and those who knew him before prophethood. The relevance of trust in the life of Muslims, now its relevance in the life of Ahmadi Muslims, implication for modern contemporary Muslims communities, the teachings of Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salam in this regard and his khulafa. Very beautiful, but it will be more beautiful if we can take the pain to put it together, developing not just as an outline, but as a write-up for Majlis Sultan al-Qalam. So may Allah continue to accept our efforts. These are beautiful efforts. Writing is a continuous thing. It is something you don't, it is not something we master in a day. I don't even like using the word master, because while in reality some people are masters of the arts of writing, they will tell you that it is a continuous thing. It's ever evolving. It evolves in a continuum. You continue to develop it. So it is better, therefore, for us to understand this and move ahead. So let's now go ahead to the main issue. I don't know how we're going to do that. We have less than an hour? Well, okay. It's going to be 6. When are we rounding off? Is it 6:30? Abasab?
Yes, sir.
When are we rounding off? Is it 6:30?
6 o'clock. Then, if there are questions, then
okay.
We can extend till 6:30. So.
Okay. Yeah, you're going to give me about 5 minutes. I want to see if I can, let me see. I want to see if I can get this thing across.
Okay, sir.
So that you can just share it.
So while Prof. Saab is working on what he would be sharing shortly, we just would like to inform our dear participants that we will be issuing certificates to participants in this event, but the certificate will reflect 3 levels of effort. So as we noted earlier, we would have a multiple choice exam to be administered tomorrow morning. which we expect all participants to participate in, to partake in the test. And, on the basis of this, participation, we would be issuing certificate for people who score between from 80% and above. They will receive certificate of distinction. For people who score between 70 to 79%, they will receive certificate of merit. Whereas for people who score below 70%, they will receive certificate of attendance. So which means that everyone is guaranteed to receive a certificate so long as you take the exam. So these are going to be very straightforward, multiple choice questions. And we hope that everyone will score at least 80%. We're happy to issue certificate of distinction to everyone. But definitely everyone gets a certificate once you take that exam, inshallah. Prasad, if you're ready, sir.
Yes, I should be ready in another 2-3 minutes.
All right.
Please ask Abdul Qadir to check his WhatsApp.
Abdul Qadir, check your WhatsApp, please. So the slides, we will share all materials with you. I think Abdul Qadir sir, can we ask people to drop their emails and just to drop their emails on the chat and then take a screenshot of that? Or are we going to send a form? Which ones should we do? Okay, when they write the exam, when they write the test, when they write the exam, they drop their emails. Then we use that email to send the materials. So inshallah, when we take the exam tomorrow morning, the very short exam, we will request for your email addresses. And once you submit your email addresses, we will share all the relevant workshop materials with you, inshallah. So do endeavor to partake of this. We will try to circulate the link as much as possible for these exams, so everyone can partake of the exam. Don't forget that tomorrow morning we also have the final session from 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., which is going to be taken by Muallim Qasim Oyekola Saib, and it's going to focus on translation skills for Islamic scholarly writing. If I may take a few minutes to just chime in some thoughts. Many of us gladly buy literature for our children, literature written by other people. Some of these literature books are written by non-Muslims. Many of these are sometimes written by non-Ahmadi. How do we also cultivate that capacity to write literature material, based on some of the best teachings of Islam as espoused by the promised Messiah, alayhi salatu wasalam, his Khulafa and the scholars of the Jama'ah, that we package these in fictional, moralistic stories that can be used, to teach our young ones in various schools. I'm sure the Jama'at and members of the Jama'at have different schools. How many of some of the story books that are being read in these schools are actually written by members of Ahmadiyya Muslim community here in Nigeria? This is a challenge for all of us. If we want to build children with a different set of values, as from what we have that is commonplace around us today, we also need to feed their mind with, rich, spiritually, invigorating, ideas. Tell them stories. Some of the stories can even come from our personal experiences, how God, paved our way out of a certain problem. So many things that we can tell stories around. These need to be beautifully, curated and, widely spread to build a new set of young people that will drive some of the ethos of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community across the nooks and crannies of the world. If we have to build world leaders, what we feed to their mind matters. If we allow others to continue to feed their minds with whatever they want to feed their minds, then it's our fault that we didn't write our stories, tell beautiful stories to our children. So we do have a lot to do on our part. May Allah make it easy for us. And we think that this session should begin to inspire us that we all have what it takes to actually write. Some years back, I remember Professor Tumein Saib had this project where he was writing some textbooks, for using, I think it was for a publisher or thereabout, but it was English textbook actually. And he generously co-opted me, in the project. And I read some of the manuscript because, in composition, you have to write some stories. And he told some very nice lines. And I wish that it would do more, right? But it also challenges people like myself that we have, young people that are children that we need to write good stories. The other day I was at the bookshop, I was going to buy story books. And I just saw story books written by other people. But my name was not on the shelf. Your name was not on the shelf. How can we change this and let our children read from us? May Allah make it easy for us all. Prof. Sab, if you're ready, sir.
So yes. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum sir.
So I think we should just go to page 10. Page 10, please. Things to know. Page 10. Okay, is it page 9? Page 9. Move to page 9. No, move. Move. Scroll up. Okay. Now move. Things to that's the next one. Yeah, things to know. Yeah, I just want us to quickly run through this. These are some of the things I've mentioned in passing. I've had Uncle T.O. mentioning some part of it yesterday also. So one, things to know about writing generally, about your own responsibility as an aspiring writer. Brush up on the basic principles of writing, basic principles of grammar and spelling. Write as if it is your primary assignment, it's your job and you do it every day. Read more so you develop an eye for what effective writing looks like. There is what is called the writer's taste. Develop the writer's taste from reading the books of others. There are some writers you enjoy their style. There are those you do not really enjoy their style. But when you read so much, you'll be able to fashion out your own style from the style of the writers you actually appreciate. Now find a partner that goes a long way in assisting you. Find a partner, ask them to read your writing and provide feedback. It's not compulsory that the person should be better than you. The person should just be an avid reader, somebody who enjoys reading. So if he reads and he does not, and is not really excited, enchanted, or captivated by what you have written, then it means that you have not actually written for the mind. And as an Ahmadi, I said from the outset, as an Ahmadi, we want to write for the mind. We want to write for persuasion. There are several reasons why people write, but in our own case, we want to write to persuade. So ask a friend, it could be a fellow Ahmadi Muslim, it could be a non-Ahmadi Muslim, a friend who enjoys reading, and who can actually tell you, somebody is just going to praise you. Somebody who will praise you and at the same time tell you it will have been better if you do this and do that. Then join a workshop like this or writing meetings. In fact, we should be able to develop that. We should not wait for MASQ to do it for us at every level, at the level of Majlis Qudam al-Ahmadiyya, at the level of Lajna. There should be periodic writing workshops or writing classes or seminars, or where we learn how to develop this craft, because one of the greatest gifts Hazrat Masih Maud has given to the world is writing to defend Islam. Take the time to analyze the writings you admire. When you read some books and you actually enjoy them, read again, ask yourself, what is that thing that thrills me in this writing? Then try and imitate the writers you admire. I do a lot of that. Abbas Agbaje does a lot of that. Yunus Omotayo does a lot of that. All the good writers I know do a lot of that. Somebody has written in this manner, you want to fashion your style, not adopting in totality, but taking the style and clothing it in the garment of your own thoughts, then outlining your writing. And that's what I asked you to do. Those things you want to write, put them in an outline, list out your thoughts, arrange your thoughts so that it will guide your writing. Edit your writing. As it is said, no editor can edit himself, but you are still the first editor to edit your writing. Go through, correct mistakes, correct misrepresentations, edit for facts, edit for style, edit for meaning, because there are times you give a meaning which then edit for logic. The logicality of your writing also matters. Accept that first drafts are often bad, so you revise them. Find an editor who demonstrates patience. Eliminate unnecessary words from your writing. Review your earlier work and see how you've grown. So even if your work is published, it does not mean you cannot review it. There are some of my writings I still regret to have published today. I say, so people will be saying, so many people have read this rubbish show, because at that time I wrote in accordance with my capacity and exposure at that time. Even though some people praised me for it, then I felt they were just trying to be nice, because I will have tongue-lashed any of my students who writes that kind of thing for me now. So don't be afraid to say what you mean in what you write. Put down your thoughts as sincerely as possible. Make sure you do adequate research on your topic. Don't delay writing. Get it done now. There are some of us who would have been great writers. You have ideas, you do not put it down. You say, okay, I'll write tomorrow. Don't procrastinate. Just go ahead and write. It does not mean that if you write today, you're going to publish today. Just write, put it down. You arrest that thought. In fact, so there are times some of the things we have written years ago, we go back to those things now and retouch them, because it's something that grows perpetually. Nobody is a perfect writer. Now, it makes a lot of good for you. It makes a lot of sense if you outline your thoughts. That is outline. That's page 12. Writing an essay can seem daunting. It can appear to be very difficult. The one way to tackle this challenge is to organize your thoughts or your ideas into a well-structured essay outline. An outline serves as a skeleton of your essay. It gives you a clear and organized path to articulate your thoughts. It makes writing an essay significantly easier. It allows you to present your thoughts or your arguments coherently and effectively. In fact, one of the things that it does is that if you do not know how to make an outline, but you have an idea of what you want to write, just ask yourself, if I am asked to give this talk in 10, 20 minutes, or If it's a very long thing, and if I'm asked to give a talk about it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, what will I say? You discover that you will pick all the things you consider to be important. These are the things you put down in your outline, and you will now expand them. There are different types of outlines. You have what you call the alphanumeric outlines. You have what we call we have the alphanumeric, and we also have the decimal outline. Though decimal outline is mostly used in scientific writings, and alphanumeric outline typically uses Roman numerals, capital letters, Arabic numerals, lowercase letters, and that order. Each level provides a different level of specificity. This structure is a very effective way to think through how you will organize and present the information in your essay. It also helps you develop a strong argumentative essay. Alternatively, a decimal uses only numbers, and each subsection is a decimal subdivision of the main section. It is mostly used in scientific writings. Now, but we are talking about persuasive essay. So we want to examine persuasive essay outline. That's page 15, persuasive essay outline. The purpose of a persuasive essay is to convince the reader of a particular point of view or idea using compelling arguments and evidence. Let's look at a scenario. We want to argue that competitive swimming is an ideal sport for kids. I actually watched a television series where this topic was debated. The issue is competitive swimming an ideal sport for kids? I support the guy who said it is an ideal sport for kids. Now, if you have to write an essay on this, the essay is expected to present series of arguments to support this view. That is why it is persuasive. It hopes to demonstrate the various benefits of competitive swimming for children. Don't forget, competitive swimming, swimming generally is one of those skills which the Prophet ﷺ recommends that Muslims should acquire. It's unfortunate we do not, particularly poor people in our own area, unless those in the riverine areas, poor people in our own areas we grew up, do not have access to swimming per se, because you have to pay through your noses in those swimming pools because, I don't know, but that's the situation. But the Prophet ﷺ recommended it. Anybody who has the opportunity should, because it is a survival skill. It is a survival skill. The Prophet ﷺ recommended that we should learn how to shoot arrows, like how to shoot, learn how to shoot, like shooting now, because in those, what it was required for that time. Then how to ride horses, that is driving today. Then how to swim, because you may find yourself in a situation whereby you have to rescue someone who is drowning, or you yourself fall into a stream or a river or the sea. So even before help comes, you should at least be able to learn what will make you stay afloat. So now, as someone who wants to build an outline for competitive swimming, because it is argumentative, someone wants to say it is not an ideal sport for kids, someone wants to say it is. So the person who wants to say it is an ideal sport for kids will have to persuade the other party. Introduction, you start your argumentative essay outline by stating your point of view and or presenting your persuasive argument. Your thesis statement is competitive swimming is a great alternative to other kiddie sports, other youth sports. Now you go to the paragraph 40. Introduce your primary persuasive argument and provide supporting details in your argumentative line. Remember, every paragraph has a topic sentence. The topic and the sentence that bears the main thrust of that paragraph. Competitive swimming provides the same benefits as other sports. Sentence 1, it is good exercise and builds muscular strength. You may also want to add that it is good for cardiovascular health. 2, in swimming competition, that the swimming relays, it also promotes cooperation among team members. In paragraph 2, you may want to go into examine your secondary arguments and provide supporting details. Like you want to tell us the topic sentence of that will be competitive swimming provides some unique additional benefits. You have told us what you find. I mean, what you have, it asks what other sporting activities have. Now you go to the next one and you tell us it also provides some unique additional benefits, some benefits that are unique to it. One of this is most of the other sporting activities are temporary. You play football, you don't play football till the end of time. Whether as a sporting thing, you become too busy for it. But swimming is an important skill that can be used forever, because anytime the need arises, you will need to. If you travel in a boat, it capsizes, you want to rescue someone, you will need it. So it poses a reduced risk of injury. If you want to swim, it poses because it is not combative. You don't need to tackle anybody. You don't need to wrestle with anybody. You don't need to box anybody. So it has a reduced risk of injury. It is an individual thing. You swim on your own, unless you swim where there are sharks and what have you. But ordinarily, you swim in a swimming pool and you know how to swim. It's almost zero injury prone. Then detail sentence number 3, each swimmer can easily chart his or her own progress. So in conclusion, you conclude the essay with a summary of the thesis and persuasive arguments you have put forward. Brainstorming details that support your point of view is a great way to start before creating your outline and first draft. So when you make your concluding sentence, you will tell us there are so many reasons why competitive swimming is a great alternative to other youth sports, including so and so and so. So it gives you an idea. I mean, I've just put this down to give you an idea of how to craft your own persuasive. You tell us what is general, then you tell us what is peculiar to your point of view, to the point of view you are defending. Those of us who are Ahmadi Muslims, you want to examine, you want to persuade people to see the beauty in the teachings of the Jamaat, particularly in so many things that are happening in the society. One of the mistakes we often make is that we assume that everything a non-Ahmadi does is wrong. That is, nothing can be further from the truth than that. And a practice is not wrong because it is done by a non-Ahmadi. It can only be wrong if Allah says don't do it, or the Prophet ﷺ is against it. If it is, or as a Masih Ma'ud alayhi salam and his Khulafa have given a specific interpretation about it. And even if they have given specific interpretations, you only go ahead to establish the superiority of that interpretation without necessarily using the language haram or halal. So some of us in our speeches and in our writings, we make these totalitarian positions, and at the end of the day, we end up making more enemies. People become averse to doing our things, and that is not our teaching. So we should master how to persuade You will not incline towards falsehood, but you will not make sweeping conclusions unless it is against the Quranic dictates, the Sunnah, or what Hazrat Masih Ma'ud alayhi salatu wasalam, and what Hazrat Masih Ma'ud did not condemn. Don't condemn it. There are things that are not our practice. We don't do it, and we'll be firm on it. Sorry, we don't do it. That is our own. I owe nobody any argument, any apology for that. My imam says I shouldn't do it. Fine. Just like the other time, recently we were talking about the proposed ASU national strike, and I said, I'm sorry. My Khalifa says it is wrong for an Ahmadi to do it. Hi, are you not a scholar? Are you this? Are you that? Sorry. My own spiritual preceptor says it is wrong. I do not, those of you who are going to, you have a right to your opinion. So when we write in this one, people, right-thinking person will begin to appreciate us. So it is for us to understand and to move right. But if everything depends on our thinking, the outline we put together that will guide our writing actually emanates from the way we think. Master your outline. Writing an essay outline is a crucial step in crafting a well-structured and coherent essay. Regardless of the type of essay, be it persuasive, narrative, descriptive, expositive, research paper, and that serves as a roadmap that organizes your thoughts and guides your writing processes. The essay outline example provided above, for example, is just to serve as a guide to help you structure your own essay. Remember, the key to a great essay lies not just in the content, but in its organization and flow. So wish you happy writing, but think right. You have probably heard that you need to think critically, but have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what is critical thinking? Several times we talk about, even people talk about critical thinking without really understanding what it means. It is complex, it may be too complex for this brief encounter, but we can adopt one of these 5 strategies. It shows you think critically. For example, if you compare 2 things, and you set out to show similarities, that is comparison. When you set out to show differences, that is contrasting. So when you say you compare and contrast, we expect you to show similarity and to show areas of divergence, area of differences. Then when you decide to analyze a topic and subject, that it means you want to break it into its parts, into units, and expand it therefrom. Then if you have to categorize, you want to theorize, you want to categorize, you want to give labels to things that you want, you want to tell up what type it is. You create a typology. Maybe nobody has given types. For example, when during the great argument or the great debate over whether you should prostrate to an elder or not to an elder, and some of our Salafi brothers started calling anybody who prostrates to an elder a kafir, even though in the Jamaat, for example, we do not prostrate like that, but at the same time, we will not call anybody who does it a kafir. In fact, I had to move into, I felt there is a need to create a typology of sujood. At least from the Quran, there are two types of sujood. You have the sujood al-ibadah, the prostration for worship. The prostration for worship. When you say people prostrate to idols, to images, or to other beings other than Allah, that is sujood al-ibadah. Then you have sujood takrim, the prostration of honor or of respect, like the sujood of the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam in Surah to Yusuf. To Yusuf, they all of them prostrated. It was not the sujood of the ibadah. So when it becomes easy to make conflicts lighter when you analyze it and you typologize, you create typology, and it makes it clearer. So it makes it easier to put these things in the right perspectives. So you categorize, you tell what type it is, and evaluate. Then you want to explain the value or the worth of a thing. When you use these strategies, we say you think in a logical manner, you are a logical thinker. So you use that strategy to say something aloud about the topic you're working on and see how long you can keep the analysis going. So when you can think logically, then one major thing we should avoid. In fact, so many people have stumbled there. We see a lot of them on social media. You hear them in movie dialogue. Maybe you have even we ourselves, it's common in some of our dictions. That is logical fallacy, what we call logical fallacy. What are logical fallacies? They are those not quite logically sound statements that might seem solid at first glance, but crumble the moment you give them a second thought. Once you know how to recognize them, you will notice how common they are and how they can undermine the point the writer is trying to make. Being able to identify logical fallacies in others' writing as well as in your own will make you a more critical thinker, which will in turn impact on your writing and you become a stronger writer and reader. When you understand what is called logical fallacy, for example, let me briefly define. You say a logical fallacy is an argument that can be disproven through reasoning. This is different from a subjective argument or one that can be disproven with facts. For a position to be logical fallacy, it must be logically flawed and deceptive in some way. Compare, okay, let's give two examples. If you go outside without a coat, you will catch a cold. If you go outside without a coat, that is the second statement. Look at this. You know, the first sentence, we are talking about, we are all, maybe you live in the Western world at the time of winter, or in those extremely cold situations here. Look at the first statement again. If you go outside without a coat, you will catch cold, or you catch a cold. The second statement is if you go outside without a coat, you will catch a cold and infect the rest of the family. Then your sister will have to miss class and she will get a bad grade and fail her course. You see this kind of slippery slope fallacy. What is the relationship between your coach and your sister's missing class? And it's very common among our people. They just continue to magnify it. Like the things with Uncle Tio and others will remember. One of our fathers, may Allah continue to bestow his mercy upon him. He is late now. It was the Sadar of, at that time we used to use National Qaid. It was the National Qaid of Majlis Khudam al-Ahmadiyya at that time. And you at the IVC, I was directly involved. I was a house prefect. And there was this occasion when we were given instruction that we should make sure that all members of our house are present at the mosque. And were present at the mosque for Salah. Then they also told us that we must make sure that all of them eat, they take their lunch before coming to the mosque. And our father, at that time, our father just came back and he said, we got to the mosque late because the food was served late. We got to the mosque, so we felt, since it was not our fault, we did not stay back deliberately, but I was busy serving food for members of my house because the food came to us late. And when our father wanted to, he used one of the police logical fallacies. He said, you have disobeyed the IVC commandant. And when you disobey the IVC commandant, you have disobeyed me, the national coid. And when you disobey me, the national coid, you have disobeyed the Amir Sab. And disobeying the Amir Sab means you have disobeyed the Khalifat al-Masih. And disobeying the Khalifat al-Masih means you have disobeyed Azra Masih Maud alayhi salam. Disobeying Azra Masih Maud means you have disobeyed the Prophet sallallahu. And the Prophet, disobeying the Prophet means you have disobeyed Allah Almighty. And you will now say that I have disobeyed Allah. Technically, it was meant to instill God consciousness and morality in us. But in writing, if it occurs in writing, it's a logical fallacy. What's the relationship between my coming late as a result of serving food to my compatriots? What's the relationship between that and what is than all this long chain of disobedience? That's long chain. So it is very common in the way we reason. The basic principle is if you go out without a coat in winter, you'll catch a cold, and it is universal. Everybody knows that is what will naturally happen unless you are one of the few exceptions. But if you go out, you'll catch a cold and infect the rest of the family, and then your sister will have to miss because she will have been infected. Can you spot the logical fallacy in second? It is called slippery slope fallacy, a position that claims that very specific consequences will follow an action. Although both statements can be proven wrong by going outside without a coat and staying perfectly healthy, all of these things are very common. But you see, there are times it is an hasty conclusion. You just jump into conclusion about the thing. We call it fallacy of hasty conclusion. Somebody does a thing, and you assume that no, because he has, okay, Abbas Agbaje is dressing like as a Niger Delta cap now, and because I've seen him, I said, no, this guy is a Niger Delta militant. That's a fallacy of hasty conclusion. I've just seen that. I don't know him. I don't know any other thing about. The only information I think I have is that he has put on this, and I've just given that to. I've labeled him because of the cap on his head. And there are times we become guilty of hasty generalization because 1, 2, 3 persons have done a thing. It means everybody does it. No. And that's why population is very important in research. You are writing on Ahmadiyya in Lagos State, and you have made 1 or 2 Ahmadis you meet in your school, or even 5 Ahmadis you meet in your school who may not be upright Ahmadis anyway. You are using their conduct as the yardstick for assessing the entire Ahmadiyya. So we ask you, what is your research population? Who and who did you interview? Where did you get your data before you conclude on this? Then there are times there are so many of them we can go ahead and read about the logical fallacies. There is what we call the argumentum ad populum. You appeal to population. So because you see so many people do it, you conclude that is the truth. The fact that most people are doing it does not mean it is right, unless it is truly right. Then we can also appeal to emotion. We can appeal to emotion. You want to use the emotional angle to say that something is so many things about you. Abdullah is a bad choice as a husband because he didn't grow up here. He didn't. So we don't know anything about his background. Is that what makes him a bad choice, or we look at his conduct? That is ad hominem. That is argumentum ad hominem. That is a fallacy that attempts to invalidate an opponent's position based on a personal trait or facts about the opponent rather than true logic. Then you have red herring fallacies. Like that is an attempt to shift focus from debate at hand by introducing an irrelevant point. That is very possible, particularly it is majorly used by politicians. So, very possible example. What do you say? I can't hear you. So, an example of losing a foot can be scary, for example. Or you ask a politician, okay, I don't want to be too particular, but you say, okay, you say, Governor, so. We were told that you embezzled 80 billion naira. Instead of responding to that, it makes a frantic red herring attempt to avoid it. So well, that's not what we should be talking about now. Look at the state of our schools. Look at the state of our healthcare delivery. That is not what I am asking you. What he has raised are very important things that are easy. That can easily shift my attention, because I just remember my personal experience of those things. I want to talk about it, and it would be able to avoid that question. So it is that one is very common among the politicians. Then you have equivocation. It's a statement crafted to mislead and confuse readers or listeners by using multiple meanings or interpretations of words. You use phrases that are not clear or clauses that are not clear just because you want to divert the attention of it. Somebody says, well, I have a clear plan for the campus budget. There's a vice chancellor of the university said that, while I have a clear plan for the campus budget that accounts for every naira spent, my opponent simply wants to throw money at special interest projects. I have clear plan, undefined, for the campus budget that accounts for every naira. My opponent simply wants to throw money at special interest projects, also undefined. So some of these things, we need to be familiar with some of these, at least the common ones. At least the common ones. We should be familiar with those ones and avoid them. And there are times we create false dimension. What is a false dilemma? Rather, a false dilemma is also a false dichotomy. When the two, when you claim as if there are just two opinions. Well, if you are not for me, you are against me. I may not be for you, I may not be against you. I may be interested in something else. But when you create a false dilemma or you create a false dichotomy, you claim that there are only two options in a given situation. And these two options are extreme opposites of each other, failing to acknowledge that other more reasonable options exist. If you don't support me, then you are against me. You know, that's very common in politics. Even among friends. I'm fighting someone, I'm quarreling with someone, I expect you as my friend also to quarrel with the person. I was like, well, if you can, even an elder brother in this Jamaat once told me, he and another elder brother of ours, were having a problem. And I just looked at both of them. I said, well, you guys are adults. You are free you can take care of yourself. I was much, much younger. Then one of them called me and said, you cannot sit on the fence. You are being hypocritical. You cannot sit on the fence. You should support one. One of us will be right and one of you should be wrong. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, both of them were wrong. But I know both of them wanted me to support them, so I just decided to ignore both of them. It was a false dilemma. You don't just tell me that it's not everything is either or. So you should understand that. Avoid it when writing, particularly when writing persuasive. We fall into that error. If you're not an Ahmadi, then you are a kafir. That's if you're not an Ahmadi, then you are a kafir. Forgetting that anything that has to do with faith, anything that has to do with faith tends to be very volatile. You have to be careful. A Muslim, for example, a Muslim who drinks alcohol is doing something expressly condemned by Allah, but you don't call him a kafir. You call him a fasik, a disobedient Muslim. So don't so you don't use false dichotomies. Between extremes, there are other possibilities. Then you have what's called bandwagon fallacy. The bandwagon fallacy, you claim that a certain action is the right thing to do because it is popular. That is the argumentum ad populum I mentioned earlier. When you appeal to population, it is also called bandwagon fallacy because everybody does it, so it is right. No. And there are times we appeal to ignorance. And appeal to ignorance is a claim that something must be true because it hasn't been proven false. It can also be a claim that something must be false because it hasn't been proven true. This is also known as the burden of proof fallacy. That is in legal parlance. You know, that you have the burden of proof. But in basic writing, it appeals to ignorance. If nobody has proved it false or true, try to prove it false or true, or steer away from it. Somebody we argue that there are fairies, there are wraiths, and there are fairies, there are wraiths in this world because it exists, or it existed in Yoruba, it exists in Yoruba mythology. Therefore, it is true. And I argue, no, it is not true, because nobody has been able to prove that it exists. But nobody has also been able to prove that they do not exist. So why don't just leave it or go into your research until you can actually say, no, it is true or not. So what you don't know, just steer clear. Otherwise, it will cast aspersion on the quality of your writing. So when you appeal to pity, that's another one. I know I should have been. Time for the interview, but I woke up late and straight on track. That is to pity you for that. So you don't provoke mere emotions. You should, but in persuasion, you should try to appeal to logic, so that wherever the document goes, it gets an appreciation. So, beloved brothers and sisters, there are so many. We have so many. We have so many writings and so many logical fallacies. More than 20, more than 30 of them, depending on but there are some basic ones we can just avoid. You don't continue to learn about them and you avoid them in writing. And one good way of doing that is not just reading and knowing about them. When you read books, when you read the writings of others, try to deliberately hunt for logical fallacies. If somebody makes a categorical statement about a thing, ask why and how. Ask why is it like that, or how. Okay, don't go there. Why? Is it that Allah has said I shouldn't go, or the Prophet has said I shouldn't go? Ask wow and why or how. That will assist you, because you will read a lot of things. In fact, most of the Salafi writings contain a lot of logical fallacies. They just tell you this is the position. If you do not accept it, it means you are not a Muslim. It means you. I mean, that is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet did it, therefore. And there is also a difference between what the Prophet did and what he specifically instructs you to do. There are things the Prophet ﷺ, for example, told us that Allah has not made it compulsory, particularly when the Prophet is silent over a thing. The Prophet did not do something and you come and tell me because the Prophet did not do it. But he did not say I should not do it. He has only been silent over it. What you need to do is examine it in light of the Quran. Okay, the Quran is silent. The Sunnah is silent. The Prophet said it's a special facility from Allah for you. So it makes it easy for you. Allah does not want to make things difficult for you, and that's the reason why He did not introduce those. So by the time you understand some of these things, it becomes easier to navigate that tortuous terrain of religious reasoning, because we are talking about writing for religious purposes. Now you want to persuade people. Somebody just sent something on, I think on Facebook, that if you're working in an establishment, and somebody appreciates you. Somebody appreciates you and gives you a gift. You say, "No, I like the way you do your work. In fact, the way you do your work, I give you this thing in appreciation." A scholar came online and said, under the Sharia, you should go and give that thing to your employer. It is because it is your employer that are giving you the job, ruling out the fact that you were the one that did what is being appreciated, without actually citing what the Quran or the Prophet ﷺ has said about such thing. And he gave sweeping conclusions that if you take such a thing, it is haram for you. It belongs. And somebody even asked, is it that you report to the person or you go and give it? And he said, no, not just report. You go and give it because the person is the owner of the business. But it is not the business that has provided the facility. You have gone out of your way. Okay, an elderly person, the question that actually led to it was an elderly person came to get some goods, and the goods were delivered, and the young man felt, okay, this is an old man, and went out of his way to carry the thing for him to his car, and said, wow, since all the years I've been coming here to get this thing, nobody has ever assisted me in this way. May God bless you. This is a token of my appreciation. This is something that is prone to debate. But the man came out and gave a categorical fatwa saying it is wrong Islamically. So some of these things we have to avoid. So what you do not have evidence on. If your evidences are only based on opinions of some scholars, for God's sake, those ones are not global authorities. As an Ahmadi, for example, we have a global authority. If the Khalifa of the time, for instance, says this is it, It does not mean every other thing is right, is wrong. But it means as Ahmadis, this is our position. And as somebody who is under the bay'ah to that global authority, you submit to that. But you don't go about and start saying it is haram. You say, well, in our position, this is our position for so and so and so reasons. And that is our school of thought. And we are not apologetic to anybody. So, beloved brothers and sisters, there are so many things involved. As I said at the beginning, writing workshops are better done physically. And I hope in subsequent ones, we will be able to provide materials ahead, because it would have been a lot easier for us today if, for example, we had given materials ahead, given assignments ahead. People have sent in their write-ups. One would have been able to review them, and we just come out and review them together, share the soft copy with everybody, so that we will be able to do something that is awesome. The intention behind the writing workshop is wholesome. It is a way of reconnecting us with that responsibility which we have forgotten to bear over the years. As Masih Maud was the one who wielded the pen against all the forces of the world, and he was able to spread the beautiful message of Islam to all the nooks and crannies of the world. And as its followers, we bear that trust. We have to go out, all out, to do this at our own levels. Let us write. It is not everybody that can preach. Those who cannot preach should write. And when you write, just be sincere. Pour out with all sincerity what is in your mind. And for God's sake, do it regularly so that you can improve. Ask all of our brothers who write regularly. It is because of that. Abbas Agbaje is there, Samotayo is there. If you check what they wrote 10 years ago, you will discover that it is no way near what they write today. Because in the last decade, they have grown. They have continued to grow because they have not discarded the thing. They have continued to bear that trust. May Allah continue to be with them. All of us should see it as a challenge. The gauntlet has been thrown. Let's pick it up. May Almighty Allah continue to guide and guard us. And may He not lead us astray after He has guided us aright. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وإنك لا تخلف الميعاد وإنك على كل شيء قدير وسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خيرا أحسن الجزاء beloved Professor Said Olurotimi Timei. We thank Allah for the blessings of your presence amidst us, and we ask Allah to preserve you in sound health and strong faith, and continue to bless your household. Jazakumullahu khairan ahsan al-jazahan for this very inspiring and highly educative session. Because of time, and we understand that we've kept people around for a while, we encourage you to stand up, stretch your legs as part of the economic. We will take questions now. If you have questions, please, as we look to bring this session to a close. Don't forget, our program still continues tomorrow. We have the final workshop session tomorrow from 7 o'clock to 8:30 a.m. From 7 o'clock to 8:30 a.m. And much later, from 10 a.m., we will be having the MASQ annual conference, which is the culmination of this year's writing workshop and conference. So Jazakumullah khairan for staying with us. We hope that this program has been of immense benefit to you all. And we believe that you will join us next time when we make an invitation for this program. Again, if you have articles that you want to share with MASQ, our email address is masq.nigeria@gmail.com. So reach out to us and we'll guide you further. If you want to become a member of MASQ, join us, and we are happy to have you either as a full member or honorary member of Majlis and Service of the. So those of us that are present in the hall and our respected brothers and sisters online, do you have any questions for our beloved Professor Said? Questions and answers? If you don't have questions, I have questions. Okay, we have a question here. So this is for MASQ, not this is for MASQ and not are not related to the lecture. So please, the question is, please, what is the opinion of MASQ? By extension, the Islamic view. Oh, okay, it's both. So let's take the part that focuses on Islamic view of fiction writing, such as prose and dramas. Then MASQ will answer our home part. Prof. Sir, over to you.
Okay, so assalamu alaikum. Al-a'malu binniyat. Actions are based on intentions. They are judged in accordance with the intention with which you do them. There is this conservative view that fiction writing is based on falsehood. Therefore, you shouldn't write such things. It is wrong. It is very, very wrong. The intention of a fiction writer is what matters. Islam supports what is called didactic fictions. When you say something is didactic, it is meant to teach something. You want to teach morality, you want to teach certain values, you want to teach a particular field of study. You have didactic poetry, we have didactic prose. So you have didactic dramas, you have didactic prose writing. So basically, there is nothing wrong. Islam will only be against fiction, such fiction that are that contain negative morality, bad morals, that teach or promote bad moral. For example, we have pornographic novels and dramas and films. A Muslim should not be involved in that. It should really be discouraged. But when it comes to normal literary fiction, a Muslim who wants to engage, I write fiction anyway. I've published more than 10 of them, storybooks for primary school students and junior secondary school. So we have so many of that. There's so many Muslims all over the world, and even some of our missionaries in London, some of these books on I've forgotten the names of them. We have them even at our bookshop there. Books for children to teach some values. Because it was because of the time I thought we will be able to move from persuasive writing to narrative and to narrative essay. In narrative essays, we won't talk about aspects of fiction, like Abbas Agbaje Saab reminded us. Some of these stories, I have values. So our children enjoy reading stories. as children, our children enjoy reading stories, they enjoy listening to stories because it builds their language. And if you want them to really be spiritually developed, it's better you hide all those values you want to teach, hide them in those writings, hide them in a good story, put them in the mouth of animals or in the mouth of an elderly person within a particular story. Instantly, a little child connects with the hero of a book or the hero of a storybook, identifies himself or herself with that hero, and assumes everything that happens to that hero will happen to him or her. So because of that, whatever is recommended as a course of action for that hero is appropriated by the child. And that's why we are losing out. Muslims are really losing out when it comes to writing children's storybooks. Though so many non-Ahmadi brothers are involved, they are doing it now. I've also done some. I just told you, in fact, there is one I'm still writing, and I've published about 10 already with Razat Publication. So I think it really depends on the intention. You will not expect me to write a storybook now that contains lewd teachings, immoralities, or whatever. Even when I allude to immoralities, it is with the intention of correcting the story, show the repercussion of such immoral practices and provide alternatives. That's how it should be. Allahu Alam, that's my position. And that's because I've seen even our Ahmadi brothers outside Nigeria at the headquarters, at the heart of the Ahmadiyya headquarters, doing such also. So it actually strengthens my own resolve too. So I've landed.
Okay, sir. So for MASQ, actually, so long as the fiction you want to write, like Dr. rightly posited, continues, it's something that sort of underscores some of the spirit and essence of the teachings of Islam, in line with what is in the Quran, the Hadith, and as guided by writings of the promised Messiah, alayhi salatu wasalam, then we're happy to take fictional work, right? So that's the case. It just has to be underpinned by these, fundamental tenets. We have our father, Uncle T.O. Shoboyede. Please, sir, go ahead and make your contribution, sir. Can you unmute me? Has it been unmuted? It's been unmuted. Can he talk now? Okay, has been unmuted. Okay. Please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Alhamdulillah, I don't actually have any question, much as I give all the glory to Almighty Allah for the great opportunity I have had since yesterday, being part of this very interesting program. I cannot thank the organizers enough, the leadership of the Majlis Asar Sultan Qalam. I cannot thank you enough for this opportunity. I also want to believe that anybody who has been blessed to be part of this, especially this about concluding session, would not fail to admit that what we have actually gained within the last 2 hours, even somebody who has spent maybe 2-3 years in the university may not have the opportunity to gain it the very easy way we have gained it today. My only request, like I always do, my respected Professor Timay knows this. This presentation of this afternoon, this presentation is enough to make a companion for every member of MASQ and other interested members, either honorary members or card-carrying members of MASQ. This presentation for this afternoon should be made into a pamphlet, like student guide or student companion for every member who hopes to make fortune of writing. Because I just, it's like I just saw myself from the beginning as I'm just learning how to write. It's not, I'm not being, maybe professor would not call that on so whatever fallacy. That is my own personal opinion. And that's the truth. Because, like he said, every time I read most of the things I've written in the past, I felt ashamed of myself that I wrote things like this. But good enough, not many of them were published. So my shame was somehow reduced. But alhamdulillah, we are still living and we are still learning. So I want to request specifically that this presentation be made into, because if you say you should go and improve it, go and add more to it, to make it a book, I know he doesn't have that time. He doesn't have the luxury of the time. But as it is now, if it needs some retouching, some editing, he could do that. And within the next 1 or 2 weeks, we can produce it into, if it needs my service in that respect, I am ready to offer my service to make it a companion for every member of MASQ, so that we will start in earnest to write. So that is just my, and I pray that Allah continues to preserve our life with sound health, that we might continue to have this type of sessions. This has been a very historic and very, very interesting session that MASQ should be commended for. May Allah continue to strengthen us with His power of assistance.
Amen.
Ameen. Jazakumullah khairan, sir. You've given us a task, and inshallah we will try and work on that, God willing. So, Professor Saib, I think this will be the last question that we will take for this session and round up the program for today while we continue tomorrow, inshallah. This question states that from respected brother Alabi Waliullah, it states that, what is your view on publishing on Amazon purposely to sell the published book?
Well, I don't, what is my view? I don't think there is anything wrong in that, unless there is something else I don't know about it. But if it is just, it is your efforts, you want to make money through your efforts, so what do? Any other person who does any other thing does it also to make money. The work we do it to make money also. So I don't know that unless there is something connected with it which has to be explained. So if you write for Amazon and they consider it publishable and they pay you for it, alhamdulillah, you are rewarded for it. And if it is a religious book and they reward you for it, you get the reward for serving Islam, and you also get you also get material reward on earth here. So many of these pastors sell their books on Amazon, and Christians from all over the world buy these books. So if you have beautiful ideas, why not? Why not? In fact, it's also a way of popularizing the thoughts of the Jamaat, the positions of the Jamaat on so many issues, because the Jamaat has its own publication house, has its own bookshops. We will not go and sell them, sell these books on Amazon. Even, I don't know whether any of the Jamaat literature is sold on Amazon. I'm not too familiar with it, but I know so many professors all over the world publish, and I know a pastor's here even boast that my works are on Amazon. I make this much, I make that much on it. So I don't see any reason why a Muslim should not avail himself or herself the opportunity of benefiting therefrom, since he has a message to pass to the world. Go ahead and pass the message, and if it is appreciated and you are rewarded, alhamdulillah. Wallahu alam.
Jazakumullahu khairan, ahsana jazahan, sir. We thank you so much. We believe that we have all benefited immensely from today's session. Thank you so much for staying with us all through. We have received, invaluable gems of wisdom and insight from our various lecturers. Right from the start, we had our respected brother Taufik Ajibade Saib. Then we had our respected Dr. Barrister Muhammad Badru Dean Bashiruddin Badru Saib, and we capped it all with the big chief in person of our respected Prof. Said Olurutimi Timei. Jazakumullah khairan to our facilitators for today, and to our esteemed participants, those that are in the hall physically here, and those that have joined online. Thank you so much for your resilience and your absolute support to Majlis Ansar al-Kalam, and we appreciate you immensely. Now we'll take the closing prayers, and we look forward to having you back tomorrow for the final workshop session, as well as by 10 a.m. For our annual conference. It would be a pleasure to host you all. Jazakumullah khairan. So may I kindly request our respected father, Pa Shamsuddin Ariyo, to lead us in closing prayer, sir.
Let us
Ameen. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullahu khairan. Ahsana jazahan. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.